How you guys doing this morning? Most of y'all are muted, so let me, there's not an unmute all button anymore, but there used to be. There used to be. They've done away with the unmute button. Hey, Google, stop. That doesn't want to work. Let's see. All right. Yeah, they've done away with the unmute all button for good reason, I'm sure. A lot of people that thought they were muted were unmuted on large Zoom conversations. So you guys can imagine when you thought you were muted and the moderator hits unmute all, it might sometimes be a little surprising. So that is actually why they've done away with the unmute all button, but you're probably all muted. So we're going to be kicking this thing off in about 10 minutes, but we'll get the conversation started in the meantime. Let me see if I can, this is a little weird from that high. How's that? That's a little better. So we're going to get the conversation started in the meantime, but those of you guys that are on with us and listening right now, make sure your camera's turned on, make sure your mic is on. I'm going to probably mute you all when I want to. So you can unmute now, put your camera on now, because we're going to be asking you questions. You're going to be masterminding with people. It's super weird being on a static Zoom where nobody's face is on there. I think it's a terrible way to run a meeting. Personally, that's just me. I'm not judging your meetings if you're going to them, but I just don't think that it's nearly as interactive. So I think that, so we're going to look to drop you into virtual discussion groups after some of our speakers speak. So you're going to be literally meeting new people, collaborating with people, just like we're in person. You're going to get a chance to talk. You're going to get a chance to discuss stuff. And it's super weird if you're just a picture or a blank black box. So hit the button, turn your video on. Those of y'all, and let's just go around the horn real quick and get this thing kind of started, the conversation started. Let's hear who you are just introduce yourself and where you're with. And let's hear why this is important to you. Why is it important to you to maximize the potential of your relationships? Like, what does it mean to you? Who wants to kick us off and get started? Let's get a few answers from the group. In fact, why don't we do this? Why don't you just literally raise your hand physically or hit the little virtual hand raise button. If you want me to call on you, I'll switch to you. I'll kind of scroll around here. And Gary Balanoff, it's good to see you, man. I'm going to spotlight you right now. Gary, tell us why it's important to you to learn.
I'm thankful to join a group like this that is working on solutions, and because we're all interested in making sure things actually work. After 20 years of owning my company, Remax Select, I sold, and I'm going back exclusively to selling and listing. The market, as most of you know, is very strong. And when I talk to people in the community about, well, you know, is everything just shut down and nobody's able to actually view houses and so on, and this is all virtual? Not really. I mean, there's a tremendous need, I think, for good realtors to be out there and not promulgating fake news, not doing anything out of the ordinary, but trying to promote what's actually there for people and what their opportunities are. Because unfortunately, right now, a lot of people don't see the opportunity that's right there in front of them with low interest rates and with all the different things that are going on. But I will say, and I want to get comments from everybody here, the biggest problem obviously that we have is lack of inventory. And many people are kind of holding off on selling because they know that it could be sold very quickly, that they've got a desirable property, but there may only be one or two other homes that even fit their parameters to move into. So I'd be interested in seeing what everybody's doing right now to be able to overcome that and try to create some new listing inventory that would be good for all of us.
Love it. So we're going to be throwing you into some breakouts later. That'll be a great time to discuss some of these things. Who else? And thank you, Gary. It's awesome to see your face on here. Who else wants to share why this is important to them? Why are maximizing relationships? Why are taking them deeper and finding the real value in them? Why is it so important to you? Who else wants to share? Just raise your hand literally or virtually, and I'll slide to you. Let's just scroll through real quick. Yeah, Mauricio, go ahead, man.
How are you guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So my main reason is obviously your relationships is what drives business, especially when everyone's in quarantine. It's harder to make newer connections. So a lot of the ones you've already solidified is going to help you, move forward and create those connections. And Gary, I 100% agree. I think a large focus is on new construction now because of the lack of inventory. And if you already have a lot of connections with new builders, that certainly helps. So yeah, excited to be here and excited to be part of this group. Thank you.
Love it. Who else wants to share? What do you want to get out of today? Why are you here? What do you want to get out of learning to maximize relationships, referrals, and the value of your network? Who else wants to share something? Let's get like 2 more responses. Don't be shy. You're all on camera anyway. Raul, let's do it, man. Wait. You're still muted. Hold up. There you go.
Are we good there? Can you hear me?
You are good now.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. I'm just here, always wanting to come in on the master classes. As far as relationships, the relationship is the bread and butter of what we do, the real estate period. If you can have those relationships and you can have that constant, referral business coming in through your own relationships and maximizing that, it is priceless. I mean, that you can live a great life. So I'm always constantly trying to get whatever I can get to help me learn more about, maximizing. So I'm always on. So nice to meet everyone, and that, whatever I can hear, from somebody, I'll take it and, run with it.
Love it. All right, let's get one more, and then I'm going to throw it over to my man, Wayne Salmans, who I see has joined our call. Actually, I'll kick this thing off, and then I'll throw it over to him, and we're going to get this thing started. Actually, we still have 5 minutes, so I'm being a little bit premature here, but so maybe I'll kick it to him in about 5 minutes. But let's go around the horn. If you're just joining us and you didn't hear this already, hit the button that turns on your video, that turns on your microphone. I'll be able to mute. If we call on you, I'll be able to mute you if you're too loud or you're being annoying, so don't worry about that. But you're going to be thrown into breakout rooms, and you're going to have a chance to discuss things with each other, so it's super weird if you're not on camera. I'm not here to shame anybody if you can't be on camera, by the way. There's like a reason it doesn't make sense. It's totally cool. But if you're just not on it because it's weird or you feel uncomfortable because people are seeing you, we're all on it. We're all connecting. We're all looking to meet each other, and we're going to kick this thing off right at 9:30. So I appreciate everyone being here, being on time, being early. And I'm looking forward to getting back together in person someday, and hopefully in the near future. But time will tell. What's up, Sean? Good to see you this morning. Hey, let's go. Let's get 1 or 2 more people because we've got a few more minutes. Why is maximizing relationships important to you in your business? Like, why is it so important to you? What does it mean to you to get better at maximizing relationships, at finding the real value, at getting more relationships, more referrals, and really just being more impactful on the people that know, like, and trust you? Who else wants to share something? Or how about this as well? If you want to share what you want to get out of today or a question that you want to ask, that's also cool as well. So go ahead, raise your hand. I'll scroll through this. I'll call on you. We're going to kick this thing off in a minute. Hey, Ashley Cox, give me 1 second. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ashley Cox with Stewart Title. I saw that Curtis was going to be featured on here today, and I have been using AM cards for a couple of years now. I think it's so important, especially right now when people are going through, ups and downs and crazy times, that, we're calling and just checking in on people and not necessarily even having those business conversations, but just to really call and say, like, hey, how are you? How's your family? 'Cause right now it's a roller coaster, and one day you might be doing one thing, and then all of a sudden next day or hour, you have to switch up how you're doing things. And it can be stressful and cause anxiety. And most of us are used to being out and about and socializing with people. So I think the importance of picking up the phone, and I always try to, if I can tell someone's like having a hard time, or I feel like they're kind of going through it, I try to put them on my list to like send a card, and the card's just kind of like a little bit funny depending on, our relationship. And people know that I use humor a lot as kind of my way to express things, and they get the card in the mail a couple days later and they're like, oh my gosh, that meant so much. I was so excited to see it. We're checking the mail more because we're home more for whatever reason. So I think it's just a great way to remind people, like, hey, I'm here for you. And if you can make someone's day by a phone call, a card, a text message, Venmoing them, here's $5, grab your coffee today on me, and keep rolling. it just solidifies that you're not just transactional. You really do care, and you care as a person and as a human being. And I think that's a lot more in the long run than just happy hours, drinks, this, that, especially right now while we are home going through this roller coaster of 2020.
Love it. Totally understood and agreed. And honestly, in the end of the day, it makes your business more rewarding. It makes your business more fun. It makes your business more enjoyable. And that's really what the name of the game is today, is really learning how to leverage and maximize your relationships and how to take them a step deeper. We're going to hear from a couple agents about what they're doing right now during this pandemic to actually have many of them, if not all three of them. I'm not 100% sure on it being all three, but I'm pretty sure they're all three having at least some of their best years ever, if not literally their best year ever. I know Todd Schroth is having his best year ever, and he's talked a lot about how the strategies and the things that he does to be a mainly referral-based agent have really helped him explode even during a pandemic. And so that's really what we want to talk about, is how to build relationships that'll insulate your business, insulate you during any time, any situation, any pandemic, any global event, whatever. In the end of the day, relationships, as Curtis is going to talk about later, I'm sure he'll say, are really the real currency of life. And so I'm really excited to have both these people on today. They're both very good friends of mine. And this is a topic that's like right up my alley. Those of you that I've known for a while, this is basically what I've spent the last decade speaking about to agents in some capacity, which is how to maximize their client retention by going deeper in the relationship, by staying top of mind, by maximizing strategies that create top of mind awareness, and really like showing appreciation to the people that actually matter. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the next deal, the next person that you're going to close, the next transaction, or the current fire that you have to put out, that often we underestimate how we haven't taken certain action in the relationship. And what's funny is I've always found that there's a lot of overlap between personal relationships and business relationships, and yet we make mistakes every day in the business that we would never even think to or consider to make in a personal relationship. So we'll talk about a lot of those later. But let's just kick this thing off. It is 9:31, so we're going to just go ahead and get this thing started. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming here. I appreciate you guys sharing. Here's what I want to know. By the way, we're super excited to be bringing you the 24th session of Masterclass Orlando. I like to say this is Central Florida's premier educational event for real estate agents, and it's one of the only events where there's usually at least $1 billion in production in the room in attendance. So that says a lot about the caliber of agents on this call. So I thank you guys for taking the time out to join us, because really when we're collaborating and masterminding, the stuff's really only as good as what you guys in the group bring to the table. And so today, back by popular demand, we'll be hearing from my personal business coach, Wayne Salmans, that we heard from last week. We're going to hear from my friend Curtis Lewsey, who's a #1 international best-selling author of the book, Appreciation Marketing. In fact, here, I got it right here. I got a whole stack of them actually right there. So Appreciation Marketing, How to Achieve Greatness Through Gratitude, which is pretty awesome. And we're going to hear from Todd, Schroth, Karen Wilkins, and Cassie, Lameroux, who are all doing awesome things when it comes to repeat business and referrals. And Cassie especially is going to speak about getting more agent referrals, because she's absolutely dominating her relationships in the real estate community nationally, and they're sending her a ton of business. So what is Masterclass Orlando? I just want to kick off by sharing, for those of you that have never been here before, welcome. For those of you that come every month, thank you. This is put on by Orlando Real Producers and our partners. What is Orlando Real Producers? It's a publication and a platform that connects the top 500 agents in the city with the most referred service providers in the city. And we do this for you guys to help bridge the gap between our community and the up and coming agents and the rising stars and the new agents, so they can learn from the top 500 instead of being this like exclusive group that you just can't join, you can't be a part of. We wanted to actually create a community with camaraderie. And so that's why we're here. So our partners, though, make this all happen. We do a quarterly private event. We probably aren't doing them quarterly during COVID, obviously, but we're doing monthly educational events to kind of bridge the gap and help people learn how to get into the top 500. But I just want to say this before we kick off. Our partners are really who make this whole thing happen. Like, our partners are the reason we're able to do this, the reason this stuff is free, the reason that we're able to feature people with no agenda, nothing to sell you, no other hidden motives, is because of our partners. And so you can help us by connecting with our partners, by reaching out to them. They're the most referred service providers in the city. They've been referred by agents who rank in the top 500. 100% of them have been referred by agents in the top 500. And so like, you know that if there's a vendor that's a part of this or on this call today and we haven't kicked them out, then they're supporting the platform and they're legit. And they don't just support the platform, they're committed to supporting it long-term. Most of them on 2, 3, and 4-year deals. So these aren't companies that are gonna go anywhere in the near future. They're not like having a good month or trying to get into the market and starting to serve you. They're people that are like stable, really committed to building relationships with you guys and to supporting your businesses. And so I'm just gonna drop actually real quick in the comments a link just to make this real easy.
Okay, we will be happy to get that out to you as soon as possible.
Let's, and if you're here, let me hit mute on there. Nikisha, can you go through and just make sure that everyone else is muted? I'm going to just drop in the comments right now. I just dropped a link. That's our preferred partner list, literally for the month of July. That is the most updated list for who's supporting Orlando Real Producers. And so if you guys want to support us or support them back, just download that list, reach out to those people, follow them on Facebook, follow them on whatever social media. That's the best way to say thank you. And as well as to fill out our feedback survey at the end so we know how to make this up your alley. And really, we want to do this for you, not for us. So let's get this thing started. Here's what I'd like from you guys. If you guys want to just take one quick second. In fact, if you got your pen right there, if you don't have a pen, grab it. If you've got your pen, I just want you to hold it up and hold it in front of the camera so I can tell that you're still with me. All right, I'm going to have you just write down really quick. What's the first thought that comes to mind on what you want to get out of today? Or what's the number one question you have for veteran agents about what they do to maximize relationships? So what's the number one thing you want to get out today, or the number one question you have? I just want you to write it down really quickly. And once you've written it down, here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to have you all just drop it in the chat box. So one more time, what did you want to get out of today? What's your number one question about how top agents maximize relationships and referrals? Write it down. Then I'm going to give you a second. There's a reason I'm telling you to write it down, I promise. Write it down. And then I'll give you a second. I just want you to drop it in the chat box real quick. And this is going to help make sure that this event stays valuable to you. So if you jump on this and you don't get what you wanted out of today, it is 100% your fault, because I'm only here to facilitate the discussion. So we are literally going to go in the direction of your choosing, or we're going to go with a bunch of my notes, and I'm not a realtor. So just think about that for a second. Let us know why you're here. What do you want to get out of today? Why is maximizing relationships so important to you? And just drop it in our chat box. Our goal is to get like, I don't know, there's 55 of you, so there should be like 50 plus comments dropped in the chat box in the next few minutes so that we have a whole abundance of things to go. By the way, for those of you that drop a question in there, make sure, the reason I'm asking you to write it down is because in the end, right now, we're getting overwhelmed with questions and feedback, which is great. And the truth is, at the very end, when I open up the line and say, okay, who has questions for our panelists, who has something they want to ask, what's probably going to happen is 95% of you that didn't write it down are going to not have any questions. But you have a ton of questions right now. And so here's what I want you to do is just jot down or hold on to the questions or the reason that you're here, to make sure that when we have a break or when we send you into breakouts, that there's actually something you get out of it. So we're going to kick this thing off now. And then, like I said, make sure you're on camera, turn your cameras on, because we're going to throw you into virtual breakouts. And it's super weird if people are not on camera. One other thought on the virtual breakouts, and I'll mention this again later, is that when the button jumps up on your screen and says join, you're going to have to hit it. I'll say that one more time. When the button on your screen says join, you're going to have to hit it, or it totally screws up the breakouts and you're stuck in a weird spot where you're not in a room. Or worse, all your people that should be in the room with you have joined and they're wondering where you are. So there's a button that's going to pop up when we do our breakouts. All you need to do is hit join. But I just want to throw out there that if you're like passively doing this and you're like in your house and in another room or kind of listening to this and you can't hit the join button, it's going to be weird. So keep that in mind as we go. And Melissa, be safe. And we'll pretend we don't see that. But let's kick this thing off. So back by popular demand, most of you guys already heard from them. I had amazing, like overwhelmingly positive response. We literally had 90% plus of the attendees filled out our survey last month. And we had 80-something% of them gave it a 5 out of 5 rating. And literally, I think we had only one rating that wasn't a 4 other than that. So what that says is that basically everybody thought he was a badass and it was awesome. So I wanted to bring him back for just a few minutes to share his thoughts on relationships, maximizing relationships. So Wayne Salmans is a ridiculous coach. He runs Hero Nation. He's a badass national coach. He's coached thousands of agents. He's been a NAR, a 30 under 30. So he's a well-recognized, like, young agent, you know, who's really made it happen, not just talking about making it happen, but actually making it happen and coaching people that make it happen. He's a huge part of the growth behind Orlando Real Producers. He coaches me personally and a lot of our clients as well. So he's a ridiculous coach. If you need a coach, you should reach out to him. But Wayne is also the author of the book. I probably have it right around here, but anyway, it's called The Art of Getting Back Up. He also writes and contributes for Orlando Real Producers every month. So if you download the digital copy or you look in your magazine, there are some amazing articles from him. And he has some great resources he gave out last month. If you need them, let us know. He gave out the 30-day momentum toolkit, which has a whole bunch of stuff you probably should download. So without further ado, I guarantee you he's going to bring the energy like you just shotgun in a Red Bull. Let's give a giant silent round of applause. A silent round of applause for Wayne Salmans.
Dude, I love it. I'm not sure how to follow you though. Like, I don't know how to follow that intro. I feel like I should just not say anything because I'll probably screw it up after that intro. All right, I'm thrilled to be here. So Aaron's like, all right, you have 6.5 minutes. Go. So here we go. So I'm going to talk fast, so listen fast. Here we go. So here's what's interesting. You only need 500 people in your database. You only need 500 people in relationship with to make $300,000 a year, right? So if you take 500, you divide it by 15, you do some calculations on commission, right? You only need about 500 people in your database to be doing over $300,000 a year. And we'll come back to that, but here's what I'm getting at. You don't need to have a database of 7 gazillion people, right? You've got to take care. It's okay to take care of a smaller amount of people, lean in, love on them at a high level. So my thought on this is, how do you get momentum for your database? So first off, and I don't know if I can share my screen or not. If I can, I'll throw it up here. Aaron, I'm not sure if you got that set up or not. If you do, that's cool. If you don't, that's fine too. But here's what I want to get. How awesome, by a show of hands, how awesome is momentum? Like, is momentum a wonderful thing to have in your life, right? We love being in momentum, especially in our businesses, right? And yet, what for most people, especially most agents, right? Momentum comes and goes, agreed? They have momentum, then they don't have momentum. It's up, it's down, it's all over the place. And what you realized is when you have momentum, there's a couple things that happen. So now I can do it. Let me throw this up here. Boom, there we go. All right, so getting momentum. So here's the reality, right? The imperative driving force, right, developed for a process or a course of events, right? That's how we gain momentum. And here's what I'm getting at. It's a process. It's something you develop. Momentum doesn't just happen. Would y'all agree? It's something that it's the course of events. You did some things in a row, then you had momentum. Now, most of us screw it up once we get it, right? But here's some principles about momentum. First off, it's easier to keep than it is to get. Would you agree? It's easier to keep momentum than it is to usually get in the first place. Yes or yes? Are you with me? Okay, right. Then here's the second one. You would stay in momentum if we didn't screw it up. We would stay in momentum if there was no resistance, right? And the third thing is momentum requires attention. So what I want you to get at is think about this. Momentum is an amazing thing. We love being in momentum, right? And why are some of the reasons we love it? First off, we love that feeling of accomplishing something, agreed? And second, I love the way that Tony Robbins said it. Tony Robbins said, momentum equals happiness. Would you agree we're happier when we feel like we're moving forward, when we're gaining traction, when things are moving along, right? And yet when you think about it this way, think about in your business, why don't we have momentum sometimes, right? And I think that there are a lot of reasons why we don't have momentum, and you might want to write a couple of these down. Some of the reasons we don't have momentum is, one would be inconsistent actions equal inconsistent results, right? You'll never have consistent results. What's that?
I was just going to say that everyone drop your notes, like your takeaways, drop them in the chat box. Afterwards, we'll download it. We'll email it out. So if you hear him say something awesome or money, drop it in the chat box. And also make sure you're shooting some pictures, hashtagging Masterclass Orlando, because we feature these in the magazine every month. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to make sure.
Dude, I love it. I love it. No, I'm with you. Right. But here's the reality. We love momentum. And yet, people go, I want to have consistent income, but they have inconsistent actions. So if you want to have consistent momentum, we got to have some consistent actions, some consistent things that are allowing sustained momentum. And what breaks my heart, here's what breaks my heart. We don't take care of our database. A lot of agents, we don't take care of our database at a high level or a consistent level, right? When do we typically call our database? Let's have a little real talk right now. My daddy would call it a come to Jesus meeting, right? He was a Baptist pastor, so I was screwed up since birth. No, right? My dad's a pastor, my mom's a therapist. Like, y'all should just pray for me or put me on a prayer list or a hug list or something. Send me a Venmo card. All right, here we go. So here's the reality though. When do we typically call our database? We typically call our database when we go, crap, I'm almost out of deals. I really need a deal, right? Here's what's interesting. Most people tell me that they feel weird about calling their database. The reality is they should. They should feel weird about calling their database. And here's why. Because they call their database like once a year when they're desperate for business. That's a booty call. Okay, let's just call it what it is. Most people feel weird about calling their database because they're booty calling their database, right? It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. They're like, hey, like, do you want to sell your house? That should feel weird because that means you don't actually give a rip about your database. You just call them every once in a while when you want a little something. Are you with me? Does this make sense? Right? So what I implore you is to rethink about your database and think about, I don't need to take care of 6 gazillion people. If I took care of a small group of people, if I took care of 300 or 500 people at a high level, that could yield wild, amazing results. And by the way, I would probably love having those great, deep relationships. Does this make sense? So here's why we don't call them, right? One, we're inconsistent. Two, the other reason we don't call our database sometimes or take care of our database is because we're trying too much all of a sudden, right? We're trying to do way too much. We go, I'm going to take care of my database. We come up with a list of 48 things we're going to do, and it's real hard to implement from 0 to 48. Would you all agree, right? So that's one of the reasons why we just don't take care of our database. We're trying to implement way too much. We make it way too complicated, and the more complicated it is, the less likely it is to actually work. Does this make sense? So there's two principles. There's 2 principles I want to give you. Then I'm going to give you 3 things that I would do right now to take care of my database and to really gain momentum in your database. So the first thing is, and you might want to, I guess you're going to have this so you can write down. Here we go. Let me throw this slide up again. First thing is, if I take care of my database will take care of me. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Right, there we go. If you consistently take care of your database will consistently take care of you. If you want to have a business that's a full, right, year-long consistent business without peaks and valleys, consistently take care of your database. The second thing is God, the term that I hate the most in the real estate industry is past clients. Y'all, they didn't die. Okay, they have not passed. Hopefully, they haven't passed away, right? Why do we call them past clients, right? I coach a bunch of other industries. It would be so weird if I went to my dentist and said, "All right, who are your current clients and who are your past clients?" Right? He would go, "What are you talking about?" Because he just has clients, right? In dentistry, typically they come in every 6 months. In real estate, typically they come in every 3 to 5 years. But stop calling them past clients. They're just your clients. Are you with me? Right? And if we start thinking about our database, instead of like dead and alive, if we start thinking about them as just clients consistently, would that change our mindset and how we take care of them? Does this make sense so far? Aaron, are you with me? Is this good?
Love it.
All right, good. All right, so here's what I would implore you to do. The one thing I would do to gain consistency in your database, consistency with your people, is first off, keep it simple. And here's what I would do. I'll give you the 3 things that I would do a year. Here's the 3 reaches I would do a year. I would actually do 4 a year, but here's the 3 that I want to give you. Make it simple. I want you to reach out to your database 4 times a year. Once a quarter, I want you to reach out to your database. I would love if you called them. If they didn't answer, then you send them a text or a Facebook message. That would be awesome. Right? If you just send them a Facebook message or text, I'm cool with that too. But I want you to actually have a conversation with them right, at least once a quarter. Here's the 3 calls that you can make. The first one is, hey, we're doing a food drive. Can I come by and pick up some food or whatever? Do something in the community, right? Do something that they can participate with you in. Does this make sense? Right? This is your family. These are your people. I'll give them an opportunity to really work with you and make an impact in the community, whether it's a food drive, coat drive. I don't, do you do coat drives in Florida? Probably not, right? I don't think anyone actually needs a coat. Probably not. All right. So food drive, swimming trunk drive, whatever it is. Okay. So, but do something awesome in the community. Right. Second one is connect with them. A lot of times, if you can't put on your own big event, if you're not Aaron and you can't put on the most kick-ass events in the world, right, participate in somebody else's event. Maybe there's like music in the park that you're going to sponsor for a couple $100 or whatever it is. Is there an event happening that maybe you can participate in or sponsor and invite them to come to, right? You can call them, text them, invite them to that. The third thing is, and this is the one I want to give you, this is the freaking magic. And I have the script written out that I can send you, Aaron, if you want it. If you have not called your database in 7 years and it's time for you to rekindle the flame, it feels a little awkward. It feels like a booty call. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the script that I would use if I was rekindling the flame with my database. Okay. Side note, if you don't want to call them, just delete them from your database, okay? Like, let's get legit about this. Here's a script I would use, the number 3, which is build a service provider list. I would call my database and I would say, Aaron, this is Wayne. I know you are a rock star. Dude, I work with a lot of clients who are coming in from all over the country, and every single year I want to update my service provider list. I was just curious, who do you know that gives great service? Because I know great people know great people. I was curious, who do you know that gives great service that I could potentially add to my service provider list? Right, Aaron's going to give me some, right, an electrician or a plumber or a carpet cleaner, whatever it is, right? That's a great way for me and Aaron to kind of reconnect, right? Because I'm asking for something, I'm not asking if he wants to buy or sell a house. I'm just, right, and he probably, if he's the right person, is going to love to give me a referral or somebody to get in touch with, right? So then, right, and Aaron may have started a business, who knows, right? And then I'm going to be able to call that person that he referred me to and go, hey, Aaron said you were a rock star. I was curious if I can add you to my service provider list. It's one of the best ways to reconnect with your database. And I would do that every single year. And then after you call everybody, send them out the updated service provider list. If I was brand new in business, I would call the 30 people you know, ask each one of them for 2 or 3 service providers. I would call those 2 or 3 service providers, ask them for service providers. That's how I would build my entire database in the first 6 weeks of being an agent. Make sense?
Love it.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got. I wait a couple times a year. Go for it.
If you got something out of that, just drop a hell yes in the comments so that we know that that Wayne just brought the fire, because I know he brought you a load of stuff in a short period of time. I love that it's not that it's a booty call, not a conversation. I love that. So anyway, I thought that was awesome. Great stuff there. Wayne, if you happen to stick around, I'm sure that if he sticks around, he'll be able to answer questions at the end. I got a bunch for you at the end, but you definitely don't have to. But let's kick it over to my friend, the #1 best-selling author of the book, Appreciation Marketing, How to Achieve Greatness Through Gratitude, and the head of amcards.com, one of my favorite resources to use and show appreciation, the king of appreciation himself, Mr. Curtis Lewsey. Where's he at? Let me switch it over to you,
Curtis. Brother, I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me okay?
Boom. Go ahead.
All right. Fantastic. King of appreciation. I'm pretty sure that's you, brother. Took a lot of notes from you over the years. However, I wanted to just jump in and just share a few things quickly. We're talking about relationships, turning relationships into results, and results meaning referrals, obviously. And many years ago, I'm going to share a story. It was my first job right out of college working for Cintas Corporation. And I had the epiphany that you don't just get referrals, you earn referrals. And see, you get a lead by what you do. You earn referrals by who you are and how you show up in people's lives. And so referrals come by way of who you are. And what happened was there was this #1 sales guy, and I sold really sexy products like toilet paper and air fresheners and soaps. And I was knocking on every door, every store, and every floor up in the New Haven, Connecticut area. And I was super jealous of the #1 guy. And the reason is because he made twice as much money as me, and he worked half the amount of hours. And the reason why I say that relationships are the real currency, because see, when I was about ready to quit, he took me out to lunch, and I didn't think I was really cut out for sales and whatnot. So he took me out to lunch, and he says, Curtis, he goes, tell me about the drivers in your area, the guys that are going around servicing the accounts that you sell. And I said, well, Gary, why, what's the point? And he goes, well, tell me about Gary. I was like, he services the accounts I sell. He goes, did you know that Gary is a father of 3? He's married. He likes to go fishing on the weekends. He's currently training for a sprint triathlon. And I said, no. And I was thinking, why? I'm young. I'm kind of wet behind the, I didn't really understand. I was only as good as my last sale. And so he goes, you probably also don't know that I get all of the referrals from Gary, and it's your territory. And that's when I was heated. I was pissed. I was like, well, it's my territory, like an entitlement attitude. And he says, you know, Curtis, he goes, you need to get to know people for who they are, not just what they do. So he drives the truck throughout the day. And I said, okay. So then I wanted to make the relationship a little deeper, really understand. So I went on the trucks of the other drivers in my territory. And really quickly, I was able to build a relationship and get to know them by just asking questions about them and letting them talk. And it was magic of what happened, because I got to educate him of what was a great referral for me. See, when there's a sign that says under new management or coming soon, the first person in the door usually gets the business. So when I started doing that, I started getting phone calls and text messages, and I started working half the amount of hours and making the same amount of money in my early 20s. And I just realized the magic and the power of appreciation and gratitude. I truly believe that the biggest competitive advantage in today's marketplace is saying thank you. And that leads me to my next point, is that, like, in this age of automation, where everybody's trying to automate and trying to, you know, reduce time on doing things, one thing that you don't want to automate and outsource is your own heart. Take time each and every single day or each and every single week to be able to slow down a little bit and evaluate the relationships that are in your life, and don't put it in somebody else's hands. You wouldn't want your assistant calling your best friend and wishing them a happy birthday. You do that. And you take the time out when somebody's in the hospital or when somebody loses a loved one, or you're the one that making time to do that. So I would highly recommend that if you're not doing it right now, time block appreciation marketing, time block gratitude in your schedule, and figure out what things you're going to do to be able to connect and follow up and whatnot. Because, you know, a lot of people say they want more referrals, but they're not doing a great job of rewarding the referrals that they're getting right now. So if you want more referrals, reward those and do it in a way that makes you stand out. Just give you a quick example. Maybe somebody sends you a referral and you want to send them an edible arrangement to their work. Or you want to send, you go on Uber Eats and order something and send it to their work or their office. Well, most people are probably working from home right now. But you know, what's great is that when you send that, people from the office, who is that? That was my realtor. See, too often realtors are being called the realtor. But when you want to be called my realtor, is a whole different level when you're my realtor, my electrician, my plumber. And you do that by way of how you're showing up in people's lives. Now, remember back in the day when you were courting your spouse and you brought your A game, and it was never too late to make that phone call, or, you know, you could scoot out at lunch scoot out at lunchtime to go grab a bite to eat. And then over time, maybe you become too busy, you get lazy because maybe you sealed the deal. It's the same thing in a business relationship. You're courting a business relationship. I would love to get referrals from this top producer, or I would love to, you know, meet with this real estate attorney, whatever it may be. And then you yes, I got a deal. I got another one. I got another. Oh, this is great. And then you're off looking at somebody else as a dollar sign and a decimal point, and then you forget what you have over here. And so there's gold that lies within our database, and to tap that gold is simply being remembered and showing that you care. See, when you're remembered and you show that you care, you go to the top of the list, and you're not the realtor, you're my realtor, my title rep, my loan officer. Okay, so there's a whole different level of energy, and sometimes it just takes attention. It takes that time, but it takes intention. It's not random acts of kindness, it's intentional acts of kindness. So that's just, just wanted to you know, throw a few things. I think that my time is probably, I didn't even hit my clock. I'm right about that. Aaron, anything you want to add? I wanted to make sure I was respectful of your time. And you're muted, Aaron. And so while he's unmuting himself, I did actually send him a link for Appreciation Marketing, the book, for free. If you guys would like it, he can maybe send it out to you guys. I don't need your email or anything like that. It's a direct download. You can listen to it if you wish. And a lot of little golden nuggets in there.
Love it. So I'm going to have Nikisha just drop it into the chat box right now so you guys can download the book if you guys need it. Love that stuff. One of the things I always love that you always say is it's about being remembered, not deleted. I think that before we go into like all the specifics that these agents are doing, like just that principle alone is really important for people to understand, is that like we want to actually make an impact. We want to actually make a meaning. And typically one of the books I just finished, I literally just finished this book, was talking about how Bernadette Jiwa was saying that people think they can replace or let marketing and advertising replace having meaning with their customers. Meaning like actually mattering to their customers can't be replaced with marketing, can't be replaced with technology. It can't be replaced with any type of branding or any other strategy other than actually caring and letting people know that you care. And so that's why this is so important, is to build the width and the depth to your relationships is really what's going to separate the top people from the people who are just out there generating leads. Another thought I just wanted to share with you guys, Tom Ferry, actually, I watched a video from him. He talked a lot about this, but he was basically saying like, would you rather have leads or relationships? Like, honestly, would you rather have a lead or a relationship? Like right now. And some of you will say you'd rather have relationships, but if you were honest with yourself about your behaviors, about your actions, about your priorities, about how you invest your money, about how you invest your time, about what systems you put into place already, do you really value the relationships over the leads? Or do you chase down the next lead? And so one other thought before I kick this off to the panel, I'm going to bring the panelists on in just a second, is just make sure that, like I said, you're dropping your takeaways in the chat box. Also, we would love to get your photos from Masterclass Orlando. If you guys could just make sure you shoot one once in a while, whoever's speaking, a gallery view, whatever it is, just hashtag Masterclass Orlando, drop it on social media. We will find it, and that will help us fill the publication. The truth is, I'll be honest with you guys, look, usually there's 6, I guess you can't see that. Usually there's 6 pages in here that come from Masterclass Orlando's pictures. And obviously, we can't do that right now because there aren't that many pictures from Masterclass Orlando, but we try to at least put 1-2 pages in this every month, but we need your photos. So just throwing that out there. It's if you get some shots from this event, if you go into your breakouts, just snap a quick picture, hashtag Masterclass Orlando. It keeps us growing and it helps us build this thing up so that people can see it. Plus, it's a hell of a lot more fun to see your own photos. So without further ado, by the way, how many of you guys got something good out of Curtis? Drop what you got from what he said in the comments. He always, my 2 favorite things I always hear Curtis say, like I said, are it's about being remembered, not deleted. And the other thing, Curtis, that you always say is that relationships are the real currency of life. And that's really stuck with me, you know, as someone who literally like almost died at the end of January this year and was on a, you know, feeding tube, on a breathing tube, like several states away, needing to, you know, facing a $500,000 medical bill and wondering if I'd ever get back. And mind you, like all of this happening right before COVID. So I'm really lucky and blessed. So thank you guys that helped out. But my friends, 438 people stepped up and gave to a GoFundMe that honestly, I didn't even start. I probably wouldn't have started. I'm not sure I really believed in them at the time, but I had a good friend who I had made enough of an impact on that they wanted to, they saw me in the hospital in Denver. They were like, he's not doing right. We're going to do something about it. They made a GoFundMe and 438 other people stepped up and gave to it. Now, here's why I share this. It's not to brag or anything, or not to just to say thank you or make it about that. But when he says relationships are the real currency of life, I literally feel like I saw it firsthand. Like firsthand, I would not have gotten back. I'd have a $500,000 medical bill. We were able to negotiate. We didn't spend a $500,000, but we spent a ton of money just getting airlifted back to Florida. And that really wouldn't have happened if enough people didn't vote with their dollar that they really believed in the relationship or what I've been able to do. So I just wanted to share that because for me, that was like a moment where I saw like, it is the real currency of life. I essentially feel blessed to have paid a giant medical bill using relationships that I had spent the last decade plus like cultivating and caring about and pouring into. And so I just thought I'd share that. So thank you, Curtis, for everything that you just shared. Anything else you wanted to share before we wrap things up or before we kick it off the panel? I mean,
oh, we're good. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man. I appreciate.
Awesome. Sorry, I just accidentally hit the wrong button. I think it muted you for a second. So, all right, without further ado, I'm going to highlight our panelists and bring them all up. So give me one quick second. Cassie, I'm making you a co-host. So first we're going to have Cassie Lameroux. She's doing an awesome job. Her team sells $20-30 million plus. I'm doing this off memory, so correct me if I'm wrong, Cassie. But she does a ton of business from referrals from other agents, and I'm going to have her share with you a little bit about what she's doing as well. Todd Schroth, we're going to bring you on right now as well. Todd, can you hear me, Todd? You got to unmute yourself so we can pull you up. Todd, we got you. Perfect. And last but not least, we're going to bring up Karen Wilkins, who is on the next cover of Orlando Real Producers. Karen, you're not in here as Karen, so I'm not sure.
That's so weird. I see my name as Karen.
There, now I see you. Sorry. You're not alphabetically as Karen. All right, we got you now. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Perfect. All right, let's get this thing started. I'll start with you just because I've already got you up. Karen, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing right now to keep in touch with your sphere, to matter to people, to show them that they matter to you more than, as Curtis calls it, dollar signs and decimal points. What are you doing right now?
Well, today, actually, tonight, y'all can say a prayer, wish me luck, because we have 100 of our clients, not past clients, Wayne, 100 of our clients jumping onto a bingo night tonight, and we're going to do a blowout of super fun. We're giving away tons of money, tons of cards, and we're doing tacky tourist trivia, and it's going to be a blast. My agents have been out all day yesterday and today dropping these 100 bingo bash bags off to our clients. And so that would be number one, probably top of mind, probably the biggest thing we're doing right now. But we've been doing tons of stuff. We've had to totally rethink how we do real estate because so much of what we do was face-to-face. So
tell me about this tonight. Give me like the details. I mean, okay, I feel like you kind of glazed over a golden nugget. So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay. Like, what are you doing tonight? How did you organize it? How did you invite people? How many people are you expecting? Like, give us the goods.
Okay, we'll have 100 people. We have 100 people RSVP'd. We capped it at 100. So we said, hey, you got to get back to us. We only have 100 logins to our Zoom account. We are going to, some of us who are braving the lack of social distancing are going to be in the office. We have the old-fashioned bingo card. We put bags together with like tacky big glasses and Lays and just a bunch, and then popcorn and bags of candy, little sunglasses for all the kids. So it's a family fun event. So the whole family will play. We ordered bingo cards. We got a bunch of little bingo nugget or whatever, bingo chips that we put in Ziploc bags, and we're just going to play bingo. We'll play bingo. And then we called, okay, oh, here, this is fun. So I always hate being on these things because I feel I have nothing to say. So just feel nervous and nothing to say. But so what we did was we took our vendor list that we have. We called each one of the vendors and said, hey, you're on the list. Send us a $25 gift card. And almost every one of them did. And many of them gave us way more than $25. So we just have tons of gift cards to give away. And it's just hopefully going to be fun. And then every 20 minutes we're stopping and we're doing tourist trivia because we have the theme is tacky tourist. And so we're going to do trivia about tourist things in Orlando. And of course, we're going to sprinkle that in there with ways they can help us grow our business and offer them opportunities to know more about the vendors. Each vendor will get recognized when their gift card is given away. And each person who got their bingo bash got a list of our vendor list, which is pretty, I mean, it's everything you need to redo your house or keep your house maintained. So it's pretty thorough.
That's pretty extensive and awesome. Tell me about how, like what the invite actually says. Like, how do you enroll people in caring about doing this?
We did, everything was personal invite. This was a way for us to go through all of our client touches for the last 2 months. So every person who's been our client, which, you know, I think there was 450 past clients, and that those people didn't even, the people who've moved out of the area, we did mail 3 away, 3 packages away, because they're just people that, I don't know, we just felt really special about. But for the most part, we only sent it to local Central Florida, you know, the 4 central counties. So we've been left or right all, you know, the last 2 days. But it was all phone calls and then follow-ups with text and email. But we did not send out a mass invite. We wanted it to be personal and a reason to talk and engage with our clients.
Give us an idea of what types of conversations have happened from it. What types, you know, have they all been positive? Have some of them been positive? Have there been leads? Like, give us an idea of the types of things that you're hearing as feedback. As you
100%
do.
positive. Everyone absolutely loved it. I mean, we're getting tons and tons of texts. I'm sure you'll start seeing them posting on social media. What it's done for me is it's given me anxiety because like I've grown my database because I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh crap. Michelle Butler, why is she not in our database? My admin has double checked all of our past. Okay, I got to add her. So it's been a little anxiety because I don't want anyone to have that. I was a client and I got left out and I didn't get invited. So it's really made us dig deep. And everyone's loved it. Everyone's super excited. We're coaching people on how to give us referrals without asking for referrals. We're telling about the kind of people we'd like to connect with. And so we've kept a little, and I don't know exact numbers, details. It's not my specialty, but we've kept a spreadsheet. And as people have given us people we need to connect with, either other vendors or people that may need to buy or sell in the future, or that have questions about refinancing, any of that, we've kept a list and we're following up with them so that we can, and I don't know, even know, somewhere in my Google Drive that list exists, but it's been very positive and it's created a lot of momentum. And of course we're trying to help people remember to refer us. Like we're trying to coach them so that they don't forget that they can do that. We had someone come in and speak to us as a brokerage and they said 20% of people will always refer you, 20% are never going to refer you. And you have to remind the 60% that they are a huge resource to you. And of course we say everything. If we can't lead with a blessing, don't ask. So, I mean, I think that's the basis of everything we do. If we can't bring value, we're definitely not going to coach you.
And she means that we literally have a photo you'll see in the next issue where she's standing with a big sign behind her that says "Be a blessing," because it's like a mantra of their office. Let's go to thank you because that was a ton of value. But by the way, those of you guys that got something from that, let's do some virtual, like silent virtual clapping, or hit that virtual clap button just so that she knows that you're encouraging her, because it's hard when you can't hear it. So let me spotlight you, Todd. What are you doing right now, and what are you doing differently right now?
We need to step up our game on that, but we've actually been very busy. We're having a better year than we did last year, so I'm thankful for that. And it's mostly referral and repeat and sphere. We've got a fall festival coming up that we usually do. That I'm actually just trying to think about how we're going to shift that. And we do a spring event, and instead of doing the event where it's mostly like a happy hour, we actually ordered beach towels for all of our clients and hand delivered them. And the beach towels were they were a small piece of branding, and it was mostly like sun waves and sunshine, sun rays, and something else I can't remember. But we had them all personally dropped off to the clients, and everybody loved it. We had probably about 50 of them that we mailed out of the state as well. But it was nice to just get in front of the people again in our local, contacts that we have here. So that was our thing we did instead of doing an event, doing the personal drop-offs for that, and a piece of swag to drop off to everyone.
Love it. Let's talk about, you told me specifically that you've really been slammed with repeat business and referral. Let's talk, and since I gave terrible introductions for you guys, I don't want you to have to brag, but tell people what you sold last year. And let's talk a little bit how this year is going. Give them an idea of put in perspective what it means that you guys are slammed with business, because I don't think everyone really gets what level you're playing on.
So 20 years in the business. Last month was June was my best month in 20 years. We had 30 sales. Wait. You said 30 sales, correct? 30 pendings. 30 pendings closing at one time in June. But 20 years in the business, we had our best month ever. So, awesome. And a lot of it, I think, I'm going to call it pent up demand, because we were still selling in March, April, May, and a lot of that was closing May, June. Now we're still pending 25. So as they're closing, we keep adding to the bucket. So, and last year we closed about 105 deals. We're at 63 right now with 20 pending, still 25 pending. So we're going to exceed last year's numbers with a smaller team than we had last year.
Love it. Tell me about some of the things you're actually doing right now that are driving that.
It's just being on social media and being in front of our people. My team's got a great way to get in front of our clients as much as possible. I'm all about swag and getting people with our branding on it. And, friends at the beach this weekend, he goes, I had a Todd Schroth hat on, Todd Schroth shirt, Team Schroth towel. We had our cooler bag, and, I'm like, hey, we're at the beach, but I'm not really there. So that's a lot of the stuff we have going on with our clients. They just love getting our stuff, and it's not our name all over it. It's got, like we have these shirts. We love our community. That was something we handed out last year at our fall festival. So people are wearing those around town. They do have our name on the back. The kids wear them to school. The teachers we sponsor with the event, events that they do. So they've got some branding on us. So just trying to stay in people's faces.
Yeah. Todd, where's your favorite place to get all that swag?
Of course, Orlando branding.
I'm just joking. Shameless plug. So let's ask you one more question, then I'm going to kick it to Cassie in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about what mindset, and I want to ask everyone really about this in a second. Like, you spent 20 years in the business. What have you learned? Like, what shifts have you made with your mindset when it comes to how you approach your database and your relationships? Because there's a lot of people that have not been in the business for 20 years. Like, what have you learned over those years about it? And how much of what you're getting now was really not how you're responding now, but the groundwork that you laid for the last 20 years?
I think it's just being present is the biggest thing, and being in front of them. I mean, I've got a closing coming up, supposed to be today, but it's being delayed due to financing. But that's a house I sold back in 2003. And so they're selling and buying another one. And that's a gentleman who's not on social media. He just, they remember us, and we see them around town and all that other good stuff. So it's not like we're always in their face. They're not on our Christmas card mailing or anything like that. So I've got to do a better job on that part. But it's cool that they remembered us from 2003 going forward to sell 17 years later. And I've got a lot of those happening right now. So obviously that the longer you're in the business, the more repeat and referral you can get. But I've got one client right now that just bought and sold. They're getting ready to buy another one. I mean, this one client was 6 transactions because they had their brother who was buying, they were selling and buying. So it was just like the whole family at one time was doing stuff.
Love it. And so in a second, I'm going to actually ask you to break down like what your year looks like in following up with your past clients. But I'm going to go to Cassie now and let her share with you what she's doing, because she's doing some things a little bit differently. Cassie, let's talk about what you're doing. Can you kind of explain what we talked about where you're getting business and about how much business you're getting using that strategy?
First of all, hi. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm outside. I got a lot of background noise.
It's terrible. It's a terrible way to work, isn't it?
A Zoom background, it looks like.
That's a real one. I'm on vacation, and I actually have a bathing suit with a blazer, which I kind of think is really appropriate for 2020. Zoom. I think we can do a thing. I think we can make it a thing. So, Aaron, are you talking about my agent to agent? What are you talking about? Because
I'm talking about your agent to agent referral business, or anything you're doing to maximize relationships. But I think that's specifically what I'd love to hear about.
Okay. Well, first of all, COVID's made it very interesting for all of us, and it's really kind of made all of our creative minds grow and find ways to best use this to our advantage. So I really feel like after all this is said and done, that all of us are going to be better agents, and we all have grown during this. But we had an axe throwing event, which actually went over really well, but it was literally like the day after they shut everything down. So as soon as we got quarantined, the very first immediate intentional action we did was we sent handwritten cards to every single one of our past clients, and it wasn't your normal handwritten card. We literally hand wrote them, and all it said was, "We're here for you. We are all in this. This too shall pass." And I literally bought just regular cards that said, "We're thinking of you." I didn't put my business card in there. I don't have to, because I talk to these people. And I literally signed it Cassie and put my phone number. We got a lot of responses from that, and I felt like we need to reach out just from people to people and care, right? Let them know you care. So beyond any of that, which everybody on this call is doing, and I love that bingo idea, by the way. And I love what Curtis did with it's not the realtor, it's my realtor, and I think that's a really, really great way to put it in a little box, which is why we do this. Your network is your net worth, and that's a lot of what you say too. So agent to agent, so interesting. A lot of my deals, our team closed 10 deals in June, and of those 10 deals, half of them were actually agent to agent referrals. And I am very, very intentional about my agent relationships across the country. So, one of the things that I was able to do because I was involved with Women's Council and I was president, a couple of years back, is, you do get sent to Washington, you get sent to these things. So, you've got to, so it's a great opportunity to network with people. And you've got to do it consistently over and over again, because you're not always going to find an agent. I need an agent that's going to send me business. I mean, it's nice. You find people you get along with and you like, but at the end of the day, when I'm out of town, my number one goal is to pay for that trip by getting business from other agents. So I, do a lot of things. One of the things that I learned actually teaching martial arts was everybody receives information in different ways. Like some of us need to hear it, touch it, smell it, taste it, feel it. So when you think about that, when I meet an agent from out of state, out of country, and I follow up with them afterwards, one of the things I do is I made you can do whatever you want, but I made a little hot sheet with some infographics, and it said 12 sweet reasons why people want to invest in Orlando. And on the back, it talks about how my value for their clients. And those cards are for agents. And when I send it, I actually, it has kind of like a honeybee and a honeycomb background. And then I send it with a stick of honey. All right. Because I want them to receive it. I want them to touch it. I want them to taste it. And I want them to have something that they remember me besides, what we all get when we meet other agents. You get that card and they handwrite it and then they put their card in there and you don't hear from them again. That's not how it works. Right. So that's kind of what I do. I just kind of go beyond, and then I do my care calls for agents. If you're somebody that has sent me business, I have several really big referral partners, and if you've sent me more than like 2 or 3 deals a year, I'm flying out to see you, and I do that too. I will fly out. I will go meet with you, see the town, and then I'll try to meet with other agents when I'm in town, and then I fly back. So that's one of the things I do. Also, agents also are investors, and we all know that here in Orlando is a destination location. So when all of us here in Orlando, we can make a lot of business by just having those great agent relationships, because the chance of me sending somebody to Ohio is little, but the chance of somebody sending somebody to Orlando to purchase a vacation home or whatever is very high. So I have a higher possibility. We have a higher probability of receiving those referrals from agents than we do giving them out. So I've got to go above and beyond to show them that, I might not be sending them somebody to Ohio, but I'm going to give them that referral if they send me their business. I can't hear you, Aaron.
Sorry, I forget there's 2 mute buttons. So if I'm hearing you all right, it's that you're specifically and intentionally building and cultivating relationships with other agents, and you've built an agent database that you're treating just like most people treat their client database, just like most people call through their clients to find referrals. You're calling through the agents regularly that you have met. You're actually putting a system in place to market to the agents, not just like handing them a business card or a nice little flyer and hoping that means something. And you're intentionally, the big nugget I got out of this that most people wouldn't do is you're going out of your way to go travel to wherever the hell they are. Like, you're basically saying that 2 deals is enough to invest the cost to travel, to strengthen and deepen that relationship. They've basically pre-qualified themselves as someone worth you stopping what you're doing to go deepen the relationship, and you're actually going out and doing it. Is that a fair way of like assessing your attitude towards it?
Absolutely. And, here's the thing too. So, I'm a KW, and we have plenty of educational opportunities, and I go to all those travel opportunities. And, I flipped the switch too. So I've sat with agents and said, let me ask you something. You guys invest, right? Yeah. Did you know you can buy a whole house, furnished down to the forks, the linens, and, you can come to Florida and visit and, hold the mortgage and have all that stuff that goes involved. We have some unique real estate here, and not everybody knows that. Not all real estate functions like that. Short-term rentals and buying houses that are fully turnkey and all that, that's not everywhere. So, I've actually sold to other agents because I flipped the script. And literally I was like, well, why don't you buy something? But that is absolutely it. You are worth my time. Think about it. How much money do we make off of average sale? A couple thousand, maybe let's say, I don't know, let's say 2 deals I'll make, we'll be conservative, $6,000 on 2 deals. That's like super conservative, right? $6,000. How much does it really cost to fly to Chicago for a couple of days and come back? Not a lot of money. You know, you find a good flight, you stay a night. You know, I can tell you that every time I go out of town, if you ever see me out of town, if I go to I went to a new event last October that I hadn't been, a networking event, a realtor networking event. And I did meet somebody that I feel like I have a strong relationship. She's an agent down in St. Pete. And I believe that she will send me some business, so it'll make it worth it. But right now, that event wasn't worth it to me because I haven't gotten any business from it. So my goal is to, you know, get business. And then if you're going to send me business, I have a really strong St. Pete partner that constantly sends me people. I've got Chicago people. I've got a Nashville team. So I try to go up to team leaders too. You know, it's good to meet with the buyers. It's good to meet other buyers agents, but I want to find out who's the one divvying out, who's the one getting business. And I'm just really super intentional beyond, you know, with the client stuff too. Like, you know, I send out sympathy cards and if your pet dies and I see it on Facebook, you know, I send that kind of stuff, which we all should be doing or are doing. But when it comes to agent, I'm just as intentional. I look at them just like I look at my clients.
Love it. All right, let's go down the line real quick. And I'm going to try to get through each of you on a few different questions. So try to keep your answers like this part straight and to the point. Not that they haven't been, they've been phenomenal. Everyone's been great, but I'm going to ask you guys a handful of questions, a little more rapid fire. I want to hear about what your annual strategies are for keeping in touch with your clients. Like, what does a year look like? If you just kind of run us through, like, are you doing X number of events? Are you sending a handful of emails? Like, what are if you could give us like the overview of the blueprint or summary of how you keep in touch with your clients throughout the year. Let's go to you, Karen.
They get 2 emails a month that are video emails, and then we break our year up into 4s. We try to do 2 events a year. One generally is a community event that we call our clients VIPs, and so we have a VIP tent where we do a fall festival, and that's our big. And then we do 1 event for them. Then we do 2 things that are we give $100 at every closing to a charity. And they all get to choose who they choose the charity that the $100 goes to. So twice a year, we create some kind of momentum around those charities. And we use that as a reason to contact them, whether it's a drive or an event they're doing or a collection they're in need. We really try to tap into the need of the charity and align with that. Jenny's asking what's the message of the video. We just did a video on, this week on solar panels, because we are getting so many listings and having so much trouble selling these ridiculously overpriced solar panels that people think. So we just kind of gave the facts, here's the facts, Jack. And I already had one of my clients who signed up for solar panels texted me this morning trying to argue with me. So whatever. But then we're doing the video that we're doing in 2 weeks is going to be on why are Central Florida home insurance going up. We do, I don't know, just whatever's going on in the market, what's going on in the market stuff that we've had people calling us about.
And Karen, are you guys sorting or analyzing who watches the videos, who opens the videos? Is there any type of categorizing being done? Yes.
So those like 30-something percent of our database opens the videos. So that's great to me. And then they get to see my name every two weeks anyhow. And then we get a list of who those people are so that we can follow up with them. And we do
you strategically or intentionally prioritize those relationships in some way because you see that they're engaging with you regularly?
That is on the to-do list. That is the plan.
Awesome. Love it. Let's go to you, Todd. For your annual plan.
Our annual plan, we've got 2 events we do a year as well. One is more like the adult event in the spring, summer, April, May, depending on what's going on. We'll to host like a happy hour or like something with Wekiva Island, just something fun for everyone can kind of get out. And then we do a fall festival partnered up with a local daycare. And then we get about 200 people at that. We have our tent at the front when they walk in. They do get a swag bag with materials. We've got us and our vendor partners all the way down with the handing out candy and stuff. And we partnered up with a local, kind of a carnival group that has a lot of stuff going on. We've had, that event's been pretty big for us. We're now trying to pivot. What are we going to do this year? Something different, because no one's going to want to come to a festival. And then we get involved in every community event that we can that's in our neighborhood. The school does parades. We've got a trailer going in that. The golf events, things like that. So anytime there's a sponsorship involved with the schools, we're on that. So again, it's a good way to get swag in front of people and participate in an event and meet some of the local business owners and partners around the area.
Now, when you support the schools, are you like only supporting the schools if it immediately leads to business? Like, how do you evaluate what you want to invest in? Because I know there's a lot of people that probably like the idea, but they're counting every dollar. How do you justify it, or what do you look for?
No, I mean, the PTA calls and we just write a check. I mean, our kids are at the school, so we're involved in there. So we want to make sure we get back, and it does come back to us because most of the teachers are using us for sales. Now our kids are switching into middle school, so there's a little bit less PTA involvement. But we're also involved in high school where we've got our name on the football field. We've got our name on the baseball field. We're starting to get involved in more of the sports there. And, again, the sports that have events going on outside of that sport, like the golf events and things, we do pick and choose certain ones that we know the people that are there. But the elementary school, we've done everything with them. We're like their biggest supporter. And that's to generate a lot of return on investment for us, but it's also in our community. So it's dollars staying in the neighborhood. So that's why we kind of are heavy on that. Then we have a Christmas calendar that goes out to everybody. So everyone makes a comment. I have a cup of coffee with you every morning when I look at my fridge because your face is on it. So those are our primary things.
Love it. Love it. Let's hear from you, Cassie. What's your year look like?
Okay, so I have a system for pretty much everything, and our event system is we do 4 major events, 1 every quarter, and 4 minor events. So a minor event in normal, anti-COVID, a minor event would be like a paint night, where you have 10 or 20 people, that kind of thing. Or sometimes I'll just get extra tickets somewhere, So we just try to do that pretty much like about 4 major events, and then what else were you asking? That's it, right?
I want to hear like the annual plan. Yeah, what do you do? 4 major events. How do you keep in touch? What follow up? What messages?
I probably should own shares in bombbomb.com because I use them all the time, and about 99% of our communication with our a database basically is by video. And then people ask like, what are you sending? Sometimes it's informational, but like literally 4th of July, I have this like 9-month-old puppy. And, not that I always use the puppy thing. Like, I get it. I don't do like the card with the puppy thing on it. But, hold the puppy and just like, hey, listen, remember 4th of July, bring in your dogs, before the boom booms happen or whatever. And it was real like, hey, we're just thinking about you. So sometimes it's like real casual. Sometimes I'm out at my office where Volcano Bay is behind me and I'm just giving the Orlando report. But we're pretty regular on that kind of follow-up. And then we just schedule 4 major and 4 minor events throughout the year. And that's just my goal every single year.
Love it. Love it. All right. Here's what I'll stick with you, Cassie, and go back. What is the biggest change that you've made, or biggest like mindset shift, let's call it, that you've made when it comes to how you approach relationships and referrals, aside from obviously just the agent one, because obviously you've realized that agents are very valuable, but what's the biggest mindset shift you've made when it comes to how you approach or prioritize or value relationships in your specific, like in your business specifically?
Well, since COVID, basically, because that kind of changed everything. I feel like.
Sure.
I feel like more than ever. You know what? Let me give you a perfect example. And I got it was a great opportunity for me to feel how our clients feel when we don't do something. So I go to this yoga studio, and I go like four times a week. Like I'm a regular. And if anybody knows me, like if I go somewhere 4 or 5 times a week. And the class is usually like 8 to 10 people. It's a very small yoga studio. And do you know that I actually decided not to go back after COVID? Are we here? Okay, I glitched for a minute.
You, but now you're good, I think. And if not, we'll go to someone else. We're losing you. I'm going to switch it over to Todd. Sorry, Cassie. We'll come back to you in a second. You'll probably come back up. Todd, what's the biggest mindset shift that you've made in your business? And I asked you something like that before. So just like, what's different now that you've been doing this a while? And what's maybe a lesson that you've learned from your experience that you could help an agent not have to learn the hard way?
We haven't really made that many changes as far as, how we're doing business, with the community stuff. I mean, we are shifting a little bit, trying to figure out the fall festival, but I would love to get everyone back to normal, and people want to see people. But that's going to be 2021. But I can't say, we're still dropping stuff off to people's doors. We're not coming inside. We're not, unless they invite us in. That's really nothing different. I'm going to say we're doing.
What has changed though over the years from being a rookie in real estate to like being a veteran, a seasoned agent, like mindset wise? Like there's a lot of agents on this call that don't have the experience you have. What have you learned from experience about the value of your relationships, about keeping in touch, about how much they're worth, about how easily you could lose out on a referral? Like what have you learned with regards to prioritizing, like keeping in touch with your database? Because I always feel like the biggest issue isn't that people don't have relationships. It's usually that they undervalue them, or they lose sight of how important they are. They get caught up in generating the next deal, and they don't invest enough time or energy or money in the resources to build and strengthen the relationship. So like mindset wise, how has it shifted for you over the years of noticing what the lifetime value of your clients really is?
So I'm thinking the answer before being COVID, but yeah, so let me go back 20 years. Now it's, I'm not doing it alone. Having a team to help, the team being my wife, my two support staff, that really we all get together, put ideas together, and how we can reach our database better. And if you're an individual agent, there are companies or brokers or team leaders or other agents that will help you put this together. And it's the execution that we have now and getting out in front of people. So it's just constantly innovating and creating. We don't want to, next year when we go to the summer festival, we're not going to do towels. We've got to come up with something different. So it's just start thinking of that stuff 3 months in advance. I didn't do it 10 years or in the first 10 years of my career, I didn't really do that. After 2010 is when our business really took off, and the mindset shift, we doubled our income because we started getting in touch with our clients again. And it really hurts when I see, neighbor down the street who we sold the house to listed with somebody else because we didn't stay in touch with them. So every time we see that, we realize that's $10,000 we just lost. How do I get that 10 grand back? I need to get back with all of my clients again. And that's the biggest thing. That's I think where your mind shift sets in.
Love it. Let's go to you, Karen. Biggest shifts that have mindset wise, like what shifted for you, and what have you learned from your experience in the industry about prioritizing those relationships?
I'm actually really thankful for COVID because anyone who knows my story, I never meant to grow a team. I never meant to, like, this was just going to be vacation money that got out of control. And, and so what COVID has done is, for the first time since I've started real estate, it's allowed us to slow down. Wayne talked about being a preacher's kid. I'm raising 5 preacher kids, and there's that whole little practice what you preach. And I feel like I've built a business on what I wanted it to be, but I just never had time to critique it and slow down and get it where I wanted it. I never had time to slow down. And I am just super thankful for that little lockdown period, because we were able to actually clean up our databases. We were able to actually set the reminders that we always said we were going to do. We were able to realize that every client needs to have their birthdays in there, their anniversaries. We have all the systems in place, but we were just sloppy, and it's just given us the opportunity. And I think we still have opportunity to take seconds and quit being sloppy and appreciate these people who've loved and trusted us, because they will love and trust us again. But we get so much in the rat race.
How did you do it? What did you actually do? Like, for the people that say, like, yeah, I want to clean it up, like, where did you start? What did you do?
Well, I got one of my admins to print out everyone, like from the beginning of however long they had started real estate, including myself, print out all of our, closings. Now let's double check and make sure every person is in the database and no one has slipped through the cracks. Then we went through and we made a personal phone call to each person, and we said, hey, we just want to do a better job of letting you know that we care about you and we appreciate you and your kids. Could we get your birthdays? All that stuff. We gathered everything, which led to great conversation. That's how we did our care calls, as everyone's the trending word during this time, is we did our care calls by getting information that allows us to do a better job. We put the labels in our database. We put the reminders in our database. Like we set some admin in place to do some of the more impersonal staying in touch. And then we have ways that we're going to stay in touch through social media and different things, pre-made some birthday videos and different little gigs with each agent so that you're connecting with the person that you know and love. Anyhow, does that answer your question? Am I giving you?
That absolutely answers my question. What I'd also like to hear about is how many people are in your databases. So I'm going to just go down the horn about how many people are in your database, and do you know how many past customers, clients, how big your farm community is, or how big your sphere is? I realize that those are all loaded questions and difficult to answer, but here's why I asked this question, and then I'm going to go down the horn. And those of you that are watching this should actually get this statistic down. Like, there's a study, and it's probably over 25 years old, but the study was on how many people does the average person know by name. And the study said that the average person knows at least 300 people by name. Now, there is a ton of debate about whether or not that number has become more like 1,000 now that there's social media and now that we see people that were never relevant to us before. So if you think about it right now, how many of you guys, you can raise your hand if you agree, have someone on social media, maybe it's like your pool guy or your plumber, or someone random that really wouldn't be that significant in your life otherwise, but you see them all the time because they're on social media. Maybe it's your knife guy, maybe it's like a magazine publisher, somebody that you see all the time that's not that relevant in your life, but you definitely wouldn't forget them right now. And so that just tells us right now, there are people that normally would have been overlooked in a previous era that are now like in our faces. So we probably do know closer to 1,000 people by name. But the NAR statistic is 8% of people move every year, 8% of people. So what that means is if you know at least, let's just use the old statistic that's 25 plus years old and say that you know at least 300 people by name. 8% of them are going to buy or sell in real estate in the next 12 months. And so math people, drop it in the chat box. What is 8% of 300? What's 8% of 300? How many deals should that be in your sphere? And the 300 people you know by name, just drop it in the chat box. 8% of 300. Notice how nobody knows this one. A couple of you know it. All right, we got 4 people that know it's 24. I know if I asked you what 6% of 300 is, there would have been like 150 answers. Let's just be honest. So 8% of 300 is 24 people. That means 24 people in your sphere are going to buy or sell in the next year. And that's assuming that you don't know 3 times the number of people that old study said. So 8% of people, somewhere between 24 and 80 people in your sphere are going to buy or sell anyway. And that's why it's so important to keep in touch with your relationships, because we've already done the legwork to create all these relationships. And yet right now, if you can honestly look at that number and ask yourself, am I getting between 24 and 80 deals a year from my current sphere? Do you know 300 people by name? Or better yet, how many Facebook friends do you have? If it's more than 300, if it's more than 1,000, then you guys get what I'm saying. Are you getting at least 24 to 80 deals a year? And how many Facebook friends do you have? I want everyone to actually take a second and write that down. Write down that number. How many friends do you have on Facebook? Are you getting at least 24 to 80 deals a year? Just yes or no, just strictly from your database. And I want you to take, now I realize your Facebook friends are all over. Some of them are in real estate. This is not a perfect way of doing the metric. I bet like 4,000 of mine are probably in real estate. But what's 8% of your Facebook friends right now? If y'all could just do that math real quick and drop it in the box. What's 8% of how many Facebook friends you have right now?
3,000.
I'm not here to judge how you're doing. I'm just throwing out there that is based off statistics. That obviously there's a ton of extraneous variables, but statistically speaking, that is how many deals should be available in your sphere based off NAR statistics. So if that is enlightening or exciting to you, can I get like I don't know, maybe claps or something fake, silent claps? Like if you're like, that fires you up or gets you excited, that, if you take your average GCI and you multiply it by those numbers, or even better yet, multiply it by 24 to 80, somewhere in that range, how many of you guys would love to get a piece of that? Say hell yeah. You can drop hell yeah in the chat box if you agree. But there's probably a few $1 million in GCI available in your network is all I was trying to say. So last thing, let's go to the crowd. I just want to hear your best strategy. Like, what's the best thing the most effective thing you've ever done to either generate referrals, keep in touch with your sphere, bring your clients together, or just the most creative idea? I just want to kind of go around the horn and see if I can get like 3 brand new ideas that most of the people have not heard of, or just 3 things you're like, this freaking worked. You guys should all be doing it. Let's go to you, Cassie, because it looks like you are now working.
Hi.
Give me the goods. What's something you're doing, or what's something you've done that's a golden nugget that has worked?
Ugh. I don't know. I don't have anything that worked more than others. I mean, client events.
Client events. Okay, what's the best event you remember doing?
We had the Axe event was good. That was our last event, actually. It was the most successful.
How many people do you send an invite to? Who do you send an invite to, and how many showed up?
200 people. 100 people were coming, but we had 25 not show because it was one of those things where people worried about COVID.
But 75 came?
Yep.
75 came.
Yep.
What it cost you, if you don't mind me asking?
I got help for the first time. I leveraged one of my partners, which I've never done before. So actually, if I had just paid the whole thing myself, it would have been $1,000 for the event, and I would have been, and then food. They let me bring food and beer in. But I had my partner. I had some people help.
Love it.
So I was only out of pocket about $450. And
so if you're one of our vendors, you're probably gonna get hit up for money now. Just throwing that out there. There's like 65 of you still on this. I'm gonna guess at least a few of you are gonna steal that idea. And those of you that don't, you should.
Let me specify too. I actually have never asked any of my vendors for that, honestly.
Okay.
I rarely do.
How did you ask, and what did you do for them on this? Share with me how you made it win-win.
Okay, I did something very different in my business this year. I actually interviewed, like, for example, my lenders. You had to come interview with our team to see if we're going to put you on our preferred list this year. And you had to come into my team, and you had to interview with all of us, and then we picked who our, preferred lenders were. And we picked 4. And so, part of me being able to leverage some help on my event is that I'm giving them a lot of business, right? So, I mean, it's a give and take. And I just got way more intentional. Here's the thing, and I could be much better at this, which I'm learning and growing and being better every day, right? But I do a lot of business, and I give my vendors a lot of business, and I kind of got to the point where it's like, I like to have a little bit of both ways. So I got very intentional at the end of last year, and then did some things to intentionally leverage, and then that way I can do more events and not be out of pocket so much.
And you do an event together as a team, which helps solidify that you're a team and whatnot. So there's also benefit to that. And as a vendor, I can tell you that getting you to do an event publicly stating that we are a team helps my retention. It helps me realize, like, if I'm your lender, let's just say, I am definitely your lender when you just told all your clients publicly that I am your lender. You're not going to, like, switch to so-and-so because they offered you a deal next week. Right? And so I think a lot of people may overlook that and may need to hear that perspective as well. So thank you for that. Let's go to you, Karen. What's the best client event you've ever done, or most effective strategy you've ever done? And we'll go down the last two answers from everybody. What's the most effective thing you've ever done? Or best strategy?
I think our fall, several things were coming to mind. I think our fall festivals are our biggest event, and probably the most effective. When we sat down to start doing that, we said we want to become the Coke of our area. How do we become the family name? And so we leverage our vendors, but not like to make them give us money. The way the fall festival works is we gather everyone on this list, and they give to be a participant, and they have to create a booth. They create a booth plus they give. It costs me very little money. I pay a coordinator to help me coordinate it, but everything else the vendors pay for. But we do it at a local school, and then at the end of the day, we have thousands of people attend it. So it's the whole school knows about it, the whole community knows about it, and these vendors know and love, and they feel like a huge part. We get all them together and have like a barbecue dinner and talk about it beforehand. But this is the thing that I love about it, is that at the end, we've been able to give checks between $5,000 and $10,000 every year. So these people know when they're giving their money to this event to have a booth there, that they also are giving to get behind one particular charity, which is so fun. And then that charity's at the event, and then at the end of the event, we get to present the money. So I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just the epitome of all of the things that I want to be. It helps with giving back to the community. It helps these businesses because they get tons of business. Some of them are like, no, I can't come back to your event because I get so much business. And, because they all do little raffles and people enter in their own booth. And then it's just an overall win-win for the community, for the businesses, and for a charity. And then the community loves being there. So.
Love it. Let's go to you, Todd. Let's round this part up, and then we're going to go to our breakouts. Oh, whoops. I just hit the wrong button. I might have kicked him out.
Hold on.
Todd, where are you?
You can hear me?
Yes, but I don't know. Oh, there you are. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing. Hold on. Spotlight you now.
All right.
You're good.
Yeah, I love the spotlight on me. No, I mean, like us, the fall festivals has been the biggest thing. You know, we do 2 in-person events a year, and one of them being the spring event with mostly happy hours with the adults. Everyone leaves drunk and happy, but nothing ever really transcribes from that. The fall festival is where we get to spend time with them. It's about a 3-hour event, and the kids are all running around having a good time. You know, you can actually talk to the adults and just enjoy time with them. And we do have our vendors there. We do get participation in it because the event costs us close to $5,000. We pretty much, I think we pay about half of it, and then the vendors pay the balance. But we try to make it better every year. We get about 200 people at the event whenever we have it.
Love it. Love it. And what's come from the event, like results-wise?
We're happy if we walk out with 3 to 5 referrals. I mean, and for an event that we spend $2,500 on, we can get 20 to 30,000 in commission. It's a pretty good return. You know, and it's just a way to just be in front of them.
Love it. Absolutely. All right. So, thank you guys for all that. We're going to do something now, the fun part called breakouts. I want to hear some of your biggest takeaways. By the way, those of you guys that got something good out of this, make sure you drop it in the chat box. What was your biggest takeaway from the part that we just did? What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to have you guys grab your pens again. We're going to do something called breakouts. Just stick your pen in front of the camera and wave it right here so I know you got it. By the way, how many of you guys have done breakouts before? If you have, just raise your hand. Here's how it works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send each of you into a private room with a handful of people, with a couple people from this group. So you're each going to have a chance to share. So if your video is not on, here's your chance to turn your camera on. What I'm going to need everybody to do, I'm going to send you guys to this group. And in a second, we're going to just have you guys discuss 2 big questions. So you're going to want to write these questions down. Nikisha, drop them in the chat box for me. But the truth is the chat box won't be there when you go into the breakout. So you're going to want to write these questions down, or write down at least a reminder so you know this is what you're going to talk about when I send you to the breakout to meet some people. So you're going to be discussing what strategies have worked best for you when it comes to creating top of mind awareness or maximizing and managing relationships. So what strategies have worked best for you for creating TOMA, top of mind awareness, maximizing and managing relationships? That's question number 1. What strategy worked best for you for creating TOMA, maximizing and managing relationships? TOMA meaning top of mind awareness. And number 2, what's one thing you'll start doing, stop doing, or continue doing? I'll say that one more time. What's one thing you'll start doing, stop doing, or continue doing with regards to keeping in touch with your sphere or maximizing your relationships? So again, the 2 questions I'm going to send you in to discuss. Obviously, you want to share who you are and where you're from, but then we're going to let everybody speak. Everyone take a minute. Don't go on a 20-minute rant. We don't have time for it. We're going to be in this for about 15 minutes or so, but I'm going to send you in. Make sure you go around the horn. Make sure you hit join when it pops up. But again, we're going to discuss 2 questions. What strategies that work best for your top of mind awareness, maximize your managing relationship. Number 2 is one thing you'll start doing or continue doing. And then lastly, if you don't want to discuss those questions, you can talk about anything constructive that you would prefer. You can choose a question or discussion of your own, or just share your biggest takeaways. So here's what we're going to do. Like I said, we're going to do these breakouts. Those of you that have never done it, here's what I need you to do. I need you to put your hands out like this in front of the screen. Lock your arms together like this. I know it looks really weird, right? And just wave them right there. And if you do that, in a second, what should pop up on your screen is an invite to send you to a breakout room right now. So 1 second. Okay, now you're gonna have to hit join. In 1 second, you are going to be invited to a breakout room. Hit join. It should be unlocked if you just followed that. I want you guys to hit join. You'll be whisked away to a breakout room. We'll bring you back together in a second. Make sure that your camera's on. Make sure that your mic is on. You're going to discuss the strategies. You're going to discuss what the top strategy for top of mind awareness is, and what's one thing you're going to start doing, stop doing, or continue doing with regards to keeping in touch with your clients. All right, and if you are hearing me still right now, it means you have not hit the join button to join one of the breakouts. So if you're listening to me, join the breakout. If you have trouble, for some reason you're watching me and you're hearing this right now, by the way, if you're watching or recording, you're not going to see these breakouts. So you might as well skip forward a little bit till you don't see me talking. If you hear me talking right now, it means somehow you haven't accepted your invite. So if you need help, let me know right now. Just speak up, unmute yourself, or drop in the chat. Hey, what's up? I'm stuck in limbo between breakout rooms, and I'll send you into one. Anybody here that is still stuck with us, let me know. I'm going to assume that everyone else is good. Move you to breakout 4. All right, if you're watching this recording, let us know. If you're watching this like on YouTube or you're watching this on Facebook, we would love to get your comments on what you've gotten out of this so far. Drop it in the comments, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're seeing this. Let us know what your biggest takeaways are or what your biggest ahas were today. And I'm going to actually jump into the breakouts in just a second and kind of scroll around and see how things are going. But thanks for joining us, guys. We are bringing you all back slowly. Sorry, I was muted for a minute, but I want to just say welcome back as everyone comes back from your breakouts. Hopefully you had a good experience. Hopefully you got something good out of it. You met some new people, got to share some stuff. We're going to go around the horn and hear your biggest takeaways or what you got out of the breakouts. And hopefully you got your photos. Make sure you share them on Facebook with hashtag Masterclass Orlando. But what did you guys get out of that? Real quick, how was the breakout experience? Maybe one word, like one word answer, just drop it in the chat box. How did you feel about that experience connecting with random agents? How did it make you feel? Were you able to connect with people quickly? Did you meet anybody new? Like, what's one word to describe how that experience went for you? Was it valuable, amazing? You loved it, ideas were flowing. By the way, you don't have to all give good feedback if you don't have it. You can totally tell me it sucked. I hope it didn't. But anyway, one thing I want to do before we go on really quickly, Nikisha, can you help me drop our survey? I'm going to put it right there. Whoops, I just sent it to Wayne instead. My bad. I'm dropping a survey right now in the chat box. And if you guys want to take a second, just click on it. It's going to only take you like 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes to fill the survey out while we're here. If you could just click on the survey, let us know what you thought about today's event, what you liked about it, what you didn't. Give us your honest feedback. You could tell me it was as great as you thought it was. You could tell me it was terrible. You could tell me you think it's stupid. You hate my shirt, whatever you want. We want your honest feedback. But just click that survey link and fill it out really quickly. It's only going to take a second. When you're done filling it out, just look up at the camera and maybe give me a nod and I'll know that you're done. But if everyone could just take a second, fill it out so we can continue to tweak these events so that they're actually worth your time and we actually hear your feedback, it really is important to us. So take a second. In fact, hell, I'll bribe you guys with some free stuff. All right, so I'm going to raffle this off to one of the people that fills it out. This is the Hubbington. What the heck's the Hubbington? What do you guys like to see? This is a Real Producers drone. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, it's a tiny little drone. Flies with your phone. I'm going to send it out to somebody that filled out our survey today. A Real Producers drone. You can win it. I realize drones, like you guys probably see drones all the time, but it's pretty sweet to have a little drone that you can control with your phone. So I'm going to give that out to somebody that fills out the survey. It has nothing to do with whether you give us good feedback or bad feedback. Just give us your feedback. Your honest feedback. Click the survey, fill it out. It's in the chat box, and then we're going to go around the horn. Just look up when you're done. Maybe give me a quick nod, or even if you know how to do the virtual hand raise, do the virtual hand raise. That lets me know that you've already completed, and we can go on to what we're about to do. I'm going to give you guys like 60 more seconds to fill that out. And then I promise we're not just going to sit here watching people fill it out. I just know if I wait till the end, none of you guys will do it. So figure I'd bribe you. So fill out the survey. Let us know what you think. Give us your honest feedback. What was good? What was bad? What would you change? What would you do differently? And who the hell else should we be reaching out to make them a member of the Real Producers community? That's really the question that we would also like to know. So without further ado, I'm going to go around the horn as you guys finish those things up. Let's hear your biggest takeaways. Who wants to share your biggest takeaway from your breakout or from the speakers before? What was your biggest takeaway? We're going to go around the horn, share it. And if we have time at the end, for those of you that want to stick around, we'll throw you into some more breakouts to chat with people. So who wants to share? What was your biggest takeaway? Raise your hand virtually or physically, and I will call on you. We want to hear what was your biggest takeaway from today or from the group. And also, I'm calling on you, Shirley, by the way. And also, not just what was your biggest takeaway from the group but what did you think about the breakout discussions? Let's go to you, Shirley. You're muted, by the way, so you're going to have to unmute. Now you're not.
Got it. Hey, guys. Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Well, my biggest takeaway was definitely focusing a lot on doing a lot of video messaging. I've definitely been talking with my other colleague because I have another realtor we're working with together. And I've been mentioning her that this is going to be a really good way of actually getting more in front of clients because we actually do a lot of online lead generation with a lot of online clicks to show homes. So, it's really hard to build a relationship when they don't know who you are, where you come from. So I think adding those videos was the biggest takeaway as far as my breakout sessions with my group as well.
Love it. Love it. And what did you think about the breakout session? Was that pretty cool? I know you had a small
It was
group.
awesome because I met two strong females just like me that are very optimistic, very positive. I love them. I know it was only a few minutes and I feel like I can work with them and we can do business in the future. And that's good because it's a good way of partnering with other people and a good way of connecting more now in the situation we're currently in.
Love it. There is a method to our madness and why we send you guys into those discussions and ask the questions we ask. If you want to learn more about it, check out Exchange on Facebook. They're a phenomenal group that's teaching people how to, they are the future of virtual events. Who else wants to share biggest takeaway from the group? Let's go around the horn. Raise your hand, virtually or physically. Mauricio, you're always volunteering. I'm trying to unmute you. Go ahead, man.
What's going on? Can you guys hear me?
You're good.
Perfect. I love the idea of the virtual events, like using Zoom as like a scavenger hunt and stuff. I think that's a great way to connect with people and bring a smile to, families and past clients, not past clients. Just because, sometimes we need things that aren't just a marketing call, and people are craving social interaction right now. And I think the video call, like Shirley just mentioned, like using more videos is super important. My first Orlando Masterclass was the last one of the video, all about video marketing. We use BombBomb for texting, no affiliation. We just use them to text video calls. And I think it's super important. The virtual events, I really love. So, and breakouts are amazing. It's a great way to meet people in this environment today, and look forward to more.
Love it. Love it. Who else has a takeaway they want to share? Raise your hand, virtually or physically. Lori, I'm going to you. Give me 1 second to spotlight you. You are muted, though, so make sure you unmute yourself before you speak. Go ahead, Lori.
Hi, everybody. I am actually just getting back into the industry. I came from new home sales from 1986 to 2006, and then jumped back in 2011 to help a builder sell some inventory homes, and down to raise my boys. And now I'm back with Palmano Group in Winter Park, Florida, doing general. So transferring my knowledge and skills from builders to general. I learned a lot from this, and I think most importantly, as I jump into general, I'm going to be cultivating those past relationships, the people I've sold homes to, communities, mortgage lenders, and social media, people that know me, that have followed me, followed my journey with my boys, and with autism. I'm a co-author of a book. So they're very supportive, and now that I'm back into what I do, a lot will be following me. It's a little tricky with the COVID right now, not doing in-person events, but I just think the cards and ideas that were discussed here were very valuable, and just always having an attitude of gratitude.
Love it. What did you think about the breakouts?
Very good. I really had a lot of respect for Karen Wilkins and Melissa Martin that I connected with the title background. So very good, just to get to know them more in that arena.
Love it. Who else wants to share? I see you raising your hand, Bryce. Let's unmute you, though. I'm spotlighting you, but you are still muted. Now you're unmuted, Bryce. Go ahead.
Yes. What's that?
The travel guy.
Yes, the travel guy. I actually own a cruise planners franchise. We do land and sea, though. But for me, Karen's tip, well, not exactly a tip, but what she's doing with the bingo refers me back to our conversation just the other day, Aaron, the fact that she brings in the entire family. The fact that, the adults are the clients for the realtors typically, but the kids are there too. And the fact that you bring them into the bingo and you actually send them their own glasses, it keeps you top of mind even for the kids. That helps them to recognize you as the go-to person as the realtor. And I love that. I thought it was amazing.
Love it. Love it, man. I'm actually going to have Nikisha also. A lot of you guys are commenting on BombBomb. Nikisha, the second link I just sent you, if you could drop it into the chat box, I'm going to give you guys our affiliate link. I think it saves you some money on BombBomb. Honestly, I'm not positive that it will save you money on BombBomb, but it would at least say thank you to the team at Real Producers. And if you're going to check out BombBomb, click that link and sign up for BombBomb. I'm not pitching it, I'm not selling it, but I've gotten like tons of people saying that other link, Nikisha, by the way, second one I just sent, if you could just copy and paste that one into the group, that is where you need to go if you want to sign up for BombBomb. Who else got something out of today that you want to share? What was your biggest takeaway from today? Raise your hand, virtually or physically. I will scroll through and try to call on you. Who wants to share biggest takeaway from today? Number one thing you got from your breakout or from your, Tatiana, 1 second. And Wayne, I'll go to you next. Go ahead, Tatiana, you're muted, Doug. Now you're
okay.
Good.
Can you hear me? Okay. So our breakout was actually really good. That was one of my favorite things from this so far. But but as an introvert, probably the thing I was looking the least forward to. So it worked out great. But we talked a lot about using social media and using that a little bit more intention. Something that I shared that's been really helpful is to have some sort of, like call schedule. So every week I have 2 different letters that I look at the last names and try to, touch base with them. That leaves me about 4 times a year that I'm reaching out to them. And that's been really helpful. And then Veronica was actually on mine, and she was encouraging us to just put that same sort of mentality, but put that towards social media. That's something that I don't do as much. So where I enjoy the phone calls, I enjoy reaching out to people, building relationships. I always joke around that when I used to work for her, she one time told me, "You're making a lot of friends, you're not selling a lot of houses. So let's make that connection happen a little bit better." And so doing the calls, but also she was saying, just put yourself out there, even without the perfect finished products yet. So for what I want to do long term, and I'm building that, I'm not even certified in what I want to do yet, but by calling people and saying, "Hey, I'm in school for this. This is something that I'm working towards," when we're having these very organic conversations, and now putting that journey a little bit more on social media, so that when I am certified and finished with school, people who have been cheering me on or who I've been building those relationships with will feel safe to and happy to refer people to me.
Tatiana, real quick, since people don't know, what do you do? And what's your company called?
So I work with Advantage 80/20, and we actually do email marketing, but it's not just that. That's totally the framework. The way I put it best for people who are creatives like me, I'm very plan B, very creative minded. What we'd like to do is put a framework for your entire year's worth of marketing. And what that allows is that you get to have, it's basically working with automation so that you have the freedom to actually be personally reaching out to people and reacting versus spending all of your time producing your content, your emails, all of those things.
And so their company is actually based here, and its headquarters in the UK. So last call, some of you guys met Kim, and Kim was literally zooming in from London. Craig and Kim are over in London, and they do an amazing job at database marketing and putting the email campaigns in place. So the reason I wanted to make sure Tatiana shared that is because a lot of you guys just got off this call and feel like you've got to organize and clean up your database, and Advantage 80/20 is one of our partners that will help you with it. So make sure you reach out to her, add them on Facebook, social media. Wayne, I know you've been waiting to share, and you've stuck around this whole time, so I definitely want to honor that and take advantage of the fact that you're here, and we get your help still. So Wayne, what did you want to share? What was your biggest takeaway, or what are your thoughts you wanted to leave everyone with?
Yeah, I think my takeaway are 2 things, right? The people that are winning, first off, they're keeping it simple, right? They started with some simple things, and then they may have grown them over time, but they started pretty simple. Like Tatiana said, I don't know if I said that right. They have a whole year plan. So they started simple. They had a whole plan for the year. They were make it up every month. And then my favorite thing is that they're having fun. And I think it's okay to have fun with this. Do events that you'll enjoy, and do things that you love doing with your people. I don't know when we stopped having fun, and it's okay to have some fun and love and spending time with your people and connecting with the right people. So you don't have to take care of everybody. Just have fun, take care of the right people that you want to spend time with, you want to do the bingo with, or whatever it is, the scavenger hunt, and just keep having fun.
Love it. Love it. All right, I need one quick favor, because one of the questions I got the most from this group were, what tools, systems, and technologies do you use to categorize or to keep in touch with your sphere? So what are you using? CRMs, database, email marketing, bomb, things like that. If everyone can just come up with 1 or 2 of your best things to keep in touch, here's what I want you to do. Just drop it in the chat box. I'm going to email this all out. Hopefully we'll get 30, 40 recommendations right now. Just what's your best stuff? What's your best database? What's your best tool? What's your best technology? What do you use? Because there's a ton of agents asking that question. I want to crowdsource the collective wisdom of this group. Just drop it into the chat box. I'm hearing HubSpot, Redtail, Facebook Friends List. By the way, Facebook Friends List is amazing because you can actually type in, most people don't realize there's a query feature built into Facebook. So if you type in my friends who are blank, my friends who blank, they will actually recategorize your friends list. So for example, if I type in my friends who work for Keller Williams, I can call all of them during Mega Camp and Family Reunion Week and ask them if they're going to get their closing gifts from me or if they're going to cheat on me at the conference. Just as an example, right? That's like a funny example, but it's something that I've done in the past to make sure we're marketing. So you could be typing in my friends who are recently married, my friends who blank, my friends who blank, my friends who live in blank area, my friends who whatever it is, you'd be shocked. It'll recategorize. It'll give you a friends list of just those people, and that can actually work like your database. So that was a money tip, Wayne. So I'm seeing BombBomb, I'm seeing HubSpot, I'm seeing a lot of stuff. Who else is using stuff? Here's one I'm going to drop in here. A lot of you don't know this one. In fact, here I'm going to help you guys out. Oh, man, I'm going to give you guys a link to this one, too. 1 second. All right, textingbase.com. You guys should write down textingbase.com. Here, I'm going to give you guys a quick link. Oh, I'm about to send this to Shirley. Sorry, I send this to everybody. Textingbase.com. Here's the link. That's our affiliate link. So again, if you want to thank Real Producers and you want to save some money, I think you actually get like a certain number for free by clicking that link. Textingbase.com is an automated texting system where you can upload your entire database or your entire sphere and you can blast them out a text from a 10-digit phone number that's actually linked to you, nobody else. It's your number now. It's your computerized number, and everything that's responded to will show up on your computer, and if it's ever called, it will actually forward to your phone. I'll say that one more time. It's texting-based. You can text videos, messages, whatnot. Textingbase.com, I can blast a message, and you can personalize them. So I could stick this whole group, and I could actually have it say, hey, Wayne, hey, Melissa, hey, Deborah, hey, Gary, and it's the same exact message. I just put it in just like an email. It'll blast to your cell phone. It's amazing. Textingbase.com. A friend of mine is the founder, and they are, again, a supporter of Orlando Real Producers, so I got to give them a shout out. They work with real producers all across the country as well. I want to say that like every city we're in basically uses Textingbase or something comparable, so you're going to want to check out Textingbase. But again, any other good ones, just drop them in the comments. I appreciate you guys helping us. Anyone else want to share biggest takeaway or biggest thing or biggest aha, or if anyone has a question for whatever panelists are left, let us know now. Raise your hand virtually or physically, and I'll call on you. Who has something else you want to share as a takeaway or something else you still want to ask that was not answered? Raise your hands physically or virtually. If you don't have any questions, we're going to wrap this thing up in a second. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Anybody else have a major... In fact, hold on real quick. I did have one more question. All right. How often do you reach out to your database? Let's hear that. Cassie, how often do you reach out to your database?
At a minimum every quarter, but that's why I have 4 major and 4 minor events. So technically every month. At minimum every quarter. Minimum every quarter.
Todd, what about you? You're muted.
We are about probably twice a year. Not often enough.
Love it.
Aaron, at some point, we should do a database planning workshop. So I recommend my clients put them in 3 simple buckets, and they treat each bucket a little bit differently. So their A's, they talk to them every month. Their B's, which is the big bucket, they talk at least once a quarter. And then, yeah, the others are on email.
Love it. I love that. Golden nugget from Wayne. Karen, what are you doing?
Wayne just answered my question. That's what we do. We have A people that get once a month, B people. What we call them VIPs, cheerleaders, and crowd. And so
love it. Ooh, I love that. I love how you.
We made them up ourselves. We didn't want to have anyone else's. We pretended like we were at a football. The VIP players play the game. They're on the football field, and then we have the cheerleaders, and then the crowd.
Love it.
Love it. Also, just one last thing I wanted to share that's really simple. Like, this is going along with really the Curtis's principle of being remembered, not deleted. A lot of us, like, we want to show people that we really appreciate them and they really matter to us, but we don't really recognize that the behavior we're doing to show them is really saying the opposite. What do I mean by that? Is like, how many, like, for example, on your birthday, do you appreciate when people put on your wall, happy birthday from the such and such company? And it looks like an ad. They're basically hijacking my birthday to use their marketing. Or worse, when someone reaches out to you like with an agenda of why they're saying thank you or happy birthday, or the thoughtlessness. Like I've screwed this up. I screw this up honestly every day. So I'm not saying that I'm the master of this, but like going on and just saying happy birthday so-and-so, it's like great. You're gonna be one of 500 people that said it to them. Like how many people actually use that birthday reminder? They take the 3 to 7 friends, the 0 friends sometimes, the 1 friend, and they actually call them. And they say, hey Dora, how are you? Happy birthday. Like how are you actually doing? Instead of like, hey, I hope you're well. Hey, I hope you're well. again, I'm super guilty of this. I do this all the time, but often we have someone we want to reach out to and show them that they matter to us. We want to show them we're thinking of them, but we do the worst thing possible, which is like, hey, hope you're well. It's like, hey, I want to show you I'm thinking about you, but I don't want to think about you enough to actually open a conversation. I just want to tell you I hope you're well. Don't talk to me and tell me how you're doing. I don't have a question for you. I'm not asking, how are you? I don't have time for that. We're trying to scale. Like, too many people are trying to scale the number of meaningful relationships they have, and because of it, they're making them all meaningless. And so just a few thoughts on that, like when it comes to reaching out, to actually show them that you care, to actually, like, how many of you guys called your clients during the pandemic and just said, hey, Gary, how are you doing? Like, how are things? Or I just saw you just sold the business. Congratulations. How are you doing? And what's next? I got this from Tom Ferry. I'm going to share this last thought with you guys, but to ask people what their dreams are. Like, how many of us never ask anyone what their dreams are, but we're worried about our dreams. We want them to care about our dreams. We want them to support our dreams, but we don't even say, hey, Gary, what's the next thing for you? What's the next mountain you're going to climb? What are your dreams? Tell me about them. How can I support? We ask, how can I help sometimes, but it's so calculated. It's not just like, hey, man, what are your dreams this year? Or what are your dreams right now? What are you working on? Because when you actually care enough to listen, you care enough to support those dreams. And when you only ask, what can I do for you? It's like, hey, what can I do for you? Tell me or F off is essentially like what it tells me. I'm not saying that, but like that's what I hear when someone says, hey, what can I do for you? It's like, what can I do for you? And then get me off the phone. It's not like saying, hey, what are your dreams? What are you working on? What are you excited about? And so again, you've got to actually go deep with people. You've got to actually show people that you care about them. And that's going to pay your business tenfold versus finding the next lead versus closing the next deal. It's about making an impact, not closing a deal. So I'm going to wrap it up with that, honestly. The cost of texting base, honestly, I don't know. It starts at like $30 or $40 a month, though, and then goes up from there. But thank you guys all for joining us. I'm going to stick around if anyone has any other questions, anything you want to chat about, anything you want to talk about, let us know. But otherwise, you guys are good to go. Oh, join us next month, third Thursday of the month. It's going to be on August 20th. And it will probably be virtual, to be honest, but we're going to email you guys out and get your feedback. We may or may not have a limited amount of seating in person and do a masterclass. But the truth is we're still trying to see how things are going and what makes sense and what's the safest and, you know, whether or not it really makes sense to rush it. So let us know your thoughts. Thank you, guys. Make sure you fill out the feedback surveys. Stick around if you have anything else you want to share or discuss. I'm going to hang out for a few so I can answer any questions or continue any discussions. And thank you guys a ton. See you guys later.
Great job.